But before I introduce our first keynote speaker, I'd like to give you a little bit perspective in terms of the state of the automated vehicle, particularly on their safety challenges we are facing. And I think that's I think it's important for not only for the industry but also for the graduate students. I know there's a lot of graduate students here to know what is the current technical challenges and what technical problems we are facing. And if you have interest, certainly you're welcome to investigate on these problems. So I show you a picture that roughly around 2015 and 2016, there's this news from the Business Insider's intelligence shows that predict that in 2020 we'll have millions of self-driving cars on the road. We are 2022 now, and I don't see any commercial available highly automated vehicle yet. We see some of the vehicles are in the testing mode, but not on the mass production mode. So that brings us the question that why we predict that there will be millions of automated vehicles on the road, but at that time, but we did not really realize that even after 7 years. And the major reason for that is the safety gap we have. And on a picture, I show you that for human drivers, roughly around 500,000 to 1 million miles, the drivers might experience one accident. And for a fatal accident, roughly about 100 million miles. And so that's for every mile, the probability for a driver experience an accident is 10 to the minus 6. But if you look at the current automated vehicles, and then I show you from the California Motor Vehicles disengagement report, and one thing you will realize that the current automated vehicles, their disengagement rate is about 2 or 3, I should say 20 or 30,000 miles. So that's in terms of probability, that's in the magnitude of 10 to the minus 4. So if we compare these two, we see at least 1 to 2 magnitude of differences in terms of the safety performance. And obviously, people have concerns in terms of automated vehicles. Yesterday, in one of the panels, we did discuss in terms of the trust for users to use automated vehicle, and the safety performance is the major reason that we have concerns on these automated vehicle. And so, so with that safety gap, that's what we have right now in terms of the current state. But why 67 years ago we predict we can solve those problems? And that comes to, I call this 2 curses for automated vehicle, the technical difficulty. The first challenge for automated vehicle is this curse of dimensionality. So if you look at it in terms of the driving environment for automated vehicles, and look at it in terms of the conditions, and also the environment that they have to navigate through for these vehicles, it's very complex. And if you combine the different weather conditions, different road infrastructure, different type of road users, and even each users, they have different characteristics in terms of their maneuvers, decision of the maneuver. So if you multiply all these together and times by the time dimension they have to navigate through in the road network, then the decision space for these automated vehicle has to navigate through is very, very large. And so in order to navigate through these, they have to learn to handle these scenarios, and that is very difficult. And then the good news for that is roughly around 2015 also, that's also when we predict that by 2020 we will have millions of the automated vehicles on the road, is that there's the emergence of deep learning networks. And so the convolutional neural network has been studied for a while at that time, but then it's expanded. And for these deep learning networks, they have the capability to handle these complex situations. So most of the cases the automated vehicle will be experienced on the road can be handled by these deep learning networks, whether that's for their perception system, for prediction, and also for the decision making. And this deep learning network does have the capability to handle most of the situations. I would say right now, at least 99.99 scenarios, they can handle it. And however, that brings into the second difficulty for the automated vehicle, which I call it cursor rarity. The reason for that is we expect automated vehicles has much better performance. And we at least these safety performance need to be better than the human drivers before these vehicles can be in mass production. And so if you look at it in terms of the curve I show you on the left, then most of the scenarios, those deep learning networks, they can handle it. The problem is when they get to these long tail safety critical events, it's very difficult for these automated vehicles to handle and to learn to handle as well. And so I show you in terms of what we currently at in terms of tens of -4, but we need to get to tens of -6 in terms of probability for these automated vehicles to experience accident. And at the same time, the development cost, the data collection for these safety critical rare event is very expensive. So it's exponentially increased in terms of the cost for us to collect data to handle these cases because they are rarely occur in the real world. So if you have these automated vehicles running on the public road, most of the cases you collect the situation that can be handled already. And only those really rarely occurred event is useful, and however, it takes a long time for these vehicles to experience this type of events. And I just want to, this is one of the, I would say one of the videos Waymo put online that one of the challenge they are facing. And this is an intersection, and then the vehicles see that there's a green light, and so this vehicle is supposed to, cross the intersection without any problem. However, on the crossroad, there's emergency vehicle coming, and supposedly this vehicle has to stop and then give right of the way to the emergency vehicle. That brings a number of challenges. You first need to recognize that's an emergency vehicle. And once you recognize that, then you have to really proper to stop and to give the right of way to these automated vehicles. The cases like that is rarely occur in the real world, however, has significant impact in terms of the safety performance for automated vehicles. So we are not there yet. We have at least 1 to 2 magnitude of differences to handle these cases, and it will take some time for us to be able to handle these rare events. So for automated vehicles to be in mass production, they need to be able to handle both of these challenges, particularly the cursor rarity on top of cursor dimensionality. And we expect automated vehicle to have a better performance than human drivers. So that's why I'm saying we have at least 1 to 2 magnitude away from the safety performance. Having said in terms of the technical challenges, the industry as well as academia has been working on solutions, right? So we're trying to figure out what we do with these challenges. And I see there's 3 different type of roadmaps to overcome these challenges. The first one, I call it Tesla's approach. This is an evolutionary approach. Basically, they have their L2 vehicles on the road already. They have millions of these vehicles on the road. And these vehicles rely upon vision-based sensors. And they have multiple vision sensors on these vehicles. And these vehicles are able to collect data. So they are able to collect a large amount of data for different type of scenarios. They have the possibility that they have enough vehicle to collect enough data to handle these corner cases. However, the current deep learning network has difficulty, even you gave them data, they have difficulty to handle these safety critical events. So for this approach to work, my opinion is we need another breakthrough in artificial intelligence, particularly for inferencing inferencing ability for automated vehicle to handle these safety critical events. Because the current neural networks mostly is learning from the experience, from the examples. But as human drivers, we drive, we use a lot of the knowledge we learn from other domains, not particularly from the driving task. And the second approach, I call it Waymo's revolutionary approach. Basically, they're trying to really equip the vehicle with all sorts of sensors. So they have central LiDAR, they have other vision sensors, radar systems, trying to get a full picture of the surroundings so that they can utilize this information to make better decisions. And for this, the way they are doing it is by gathering this information, they can reduce in terms of the possibility for these vehicles to experience these safety critical event. To do this further, there's another approach, which the smart road or smart infrastructure approach, right? So we not only just rely upon the capability by automated vehicle, we want to complement that from the roadside sensors, and we give information to the vehicle so that we can further reduce the probability for these automated vehicles to experience these safety critical events. And you can see the further we're adding sensors to the system become more and more complex. All of these three approaches are in the development. And yesterday we talked about smart intersection project, and the smart intersections project is example for the third approach we are exploring, right? So we're trying to utilize roadside sensors to help automated vehicles. And so all these are open research questions, and they are not set in stone yet. There's a lot of questions need to be studied, and before we can really in a mass production mode for automated vehicles. And so I want to add my opening remark on these safety challenges to pose these questions to graduate students. So if you, in the graduate school, you're picking research questions, these are really the critical questions we just have to resolve before we can move on to get the mass production for these automated vehicles.